Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I am talking about can dwarf hamsters live together? So to understand my point, you're gonna have to understand what dwarf hamsters would do in the wild. So in the wild, a dwarf hamster would live in a clan of a lot of dwarf hamsters, and there's for two reasons. This is to breed and to feel safe and secure. But when they are domesticated and put in cages, that thing is taken away because you're gonna have a pair of two females and two males, so the breeding goes away and the safety goes away. They don't need to feel safe in their cage because they most likely do unless you're abusing your hamster. So because of that point, it's actually not necessary to house your dwarf hamster together, and it can actually lead to a lot of people get two dwarf hamsters and then they end up fighting, and sometimes the fights can actually get really bad and one of them can sadly pass away because of it. I would not personally recommend having a dwarf hamster pair just because it's too risky and your dwarf hamster doesn't get any enrichment from being with another dwarf hamster, so it's actually not necessary, and because of the risk of them fighting, I would personally keep them separated. If you do have a dwarf hamster pair, you can house them together, but you have to know that they are both the same age, they are both the same species, and they are both the same gender. You can't have a male and female hamster together. It doesn't matter if they're brother or sister, they're still going to breed just because of natural instincts. And you can't have two separate species of dwarf hamster live together because they are completely different species. I hate it when people say breeds because hamsters are completely different species. It's like a falcon and a robin. They're both birds, but they are completely different species. So two dwarf hamsters cannot live together if they are the same species. And if they are different ages, then the one of them will be more territorial than the other, and that can lead to the more stronger dwarf hamster killing the younger dwarf hamster, which is something you do not want. If you are housing two dwarf hamsters together and they are good with all the following things that I just said, then you need to have a cage that is twice the size of 450 square inches. So you actually need a 900 square inch cage because for one hamster it's 450 square inches. So you're going to need a double that, which is 900 square inches. If you have a dwarf pair, I recommend the IKEA Dwarf hamster cage because this is equivalent to a 90-gallon tank and it has 950 square inches. You can purchase this from IKEA and it will be labeled as the IKEA glass cabinet, and all you need to do is build it without the shelves and the door, and you can make your own mesh and wood lid for it, and that would be perfectly suitable for a dwarf hamster pair. You can also not have any shelves in the cage because that can cause territorial fighting over the shelves. One will be territorial of the shelf and then the other one will be territorial of the ground, and obviously the one's going to go down and then they're going to fight. So don't have any shelves in your cage and keep it to two of everything. 2 wheels, 2 houses, 2 food dishes, so that they're not fighting over one certain thing. Also, if you have a dwarf hamster pair, you are going to need an extra suitable cage for if they do fight, you can put the one into the other cage, and that'll be perfectly fine for them. Make sure it is 450 square inches or over, the bigger is always better for any hamster. So yeah, you always need to have an extra cage on hand because there is a high risk that your hamsters will be fighting. Also, there is one thing where you can't have any connected cages to your dwarf hamster's cage because the one will definitely become territorial of the other cage and the other one will be territorial of the main cage, and they'll start to fight over territory. So please keep in mind that you can't have a double cage because that is not safe for your hamsters. So overall, I recommend having just one hamster per cage, even if they are a dwarf, just because it is such a high risk that your dwarfs will be fighting, and it's about the same maintenance to have them in separate cages, so I would just prefer to have them in separate cages. So that wraps up my video, guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!